Deathwatch is one of the most popular factions in Kill Team. It's even where the game Kill Team got its name from, because they're called Deathwatch Kill Teams. But like most games that are constantly getting new releases and updated, there is power creep, and sadly Deathwatch hasn't got their update yet. I'm almost sure they will at some point, but for now, I want to play Deathwatch and I want it to be a more competitive, interesting team. So I decided to make a homebrew for it and do my own rules. I basically took the Compendium Deathwatch and just modernized them a little bit. So let's do a quick lore dump of what the Deathwatch are. The Deathwatch isn't their own chapter in a traditional sense. Instead, it's made up of veteran Marines from other chapters. Typically, these are very elite Marines, and they come together to form a kill team. Which, like in the skirmish game, kill teams are little small special forces type units. And these units operate independently instead of one giant army, like you would see in the Warhammer 40,000 game. So the Deathwatch serve one purpose, and that is killing Xenos. They live to kill aliens, and they are very good at it. Like anything in 40k, this could be an hour-long video talking about the Deathwatch lore, but that's all you really need to know to understand these rules. They are Special Forces anti-alien Space Marines. Before we dive into these rules, the sort of gameplay fantasy I was going for here was that Deathwatch should have roughly the same power as any other Space Marine team, but their gimmick is they always have the right tool for the job. They won't have any single one stat that's better than other Space Marine chapters, but they'll always have an answer to whatever the opponent is doing. It should feel like you had a counterpick to your opponent every single match, especially if you're facing a Xenos team. A lot of this homebrew will be taken directly from the Compendium. For example, they are still going to be seek and destroy and security for their archetypes, and the list building will basically be the same, except for adding in a Black Shield operative who has the same equipment list as the Watch Sergeant. Where this team starts to stand apart from the Compendium are the abilities. The first one will be Death to the Alien. This gives the Deathwatch a different bonus based on what Xeno species they're facing off against. The first one is Anti-Orc, and is Stem the Green Tide, which means you don't get negatives to your Overwatch. When fighting Orcs, you don't want to stop killing because of their number advantage, so you want to have full advantage of your Overwatch. Next up is Overkill from the Necrons. The Deathwatch know about Necron reanimation protocol, and will attempt to overkill them so they can't reanimate. This ability worsens the Necron reanimation protocol roll by 1, giving them a worse chance of pulling it off. Next up from the Genestealer cult and Tyranids, we have Synaptic Severance. The Deathwatch would know where to strike these Xenos and have a higher chance of getting a critical hit, with all Deathwatch bolt guns and Deathwatch shotguns getting lethal 5-up. Then we have Procrastinating Volley for the Eldar. This gives all of the Deathwatch bolt guns and Deathwatch shotguns Relentless. This is to counteract the defenses and the agility of the Eldar to make sure you can actually get a hit off on them. For Tau, we have Targeting Scramblers, which means that during each turning point, the first marker light token that's placed on a Deathwatch operative is immediately removed, so you have some resistance to their marker light abilities. And finally, for Kroot, there's Hunt the Hunters. This gives their bolt guns and their shotguns Piercing 1, and if it already had Piercing, it gains Piercing 2. They would know Kroot love to use terrain for a defense, so they would need a Brain War Deer that can punch through it. Their other ability is Priority Target, which is after a deployment, you pick an enemy operative that becomes your priority target, and you gain +1 damage to that target. And when it's incapacitated, you pick a new priority target. If you can eliminate these targets in order, you can get a lot of free damage off throughout the match, and this will play into a Tac Op later on. So the datasheets are exactly the same as the Compendium. I really love their weapon options and the variety, so I didn't feel the need to change it just to change it. I'm hoping if you already play Deathwatch, using the same datasheets and some of the other same equipment employees should make it feel very natural to use these rules by just having some additional options and additional buffs. The only datasheet I do want to draw your attention to here is the Black Shield. He has the same profile as the Watch Sergeant, but with a normal warrior's wound count. If we jump to Ploys, there is a ploy called Atonement Through Honor that is unique to the Black Shield. Basically, if a Deathwatch operative gets charged in range of a black shield, they can charge that enemy and immediately fight them as an interrupt. The rest of the ploys are carried over from the Compendium team, so nothing changed there. My new Deathwatch Kill Team does have some unique Tac Ops though. The first is Threat Removed, which is getting VP for killing that priority target from the new ability. The next is Zone Cleared, which is for killing enemies in 2 different quarters of the board in the same turning point. This is supposed to represent a coordinated attack. And finally, we have Cripple Stronghold. Your opponent will pick an objective marker to be their stronghold, and you can use an action on that marker to get an additional victory point. For equipment, they'll have their standard Compendium equipment still, nothing got taken away there. But there is an additional page in equipment that's entirely new special issue ammo. Depending on what it is, you either get bolt gun ammo or shotgun ammo. And these are largely supposed to be specialty ammo to counter different threats that the Deathwatch may run into. The first will be Hell Spears for the bolt gun. These will mostly neutralize invul saves and decrease them to assist up invul save. And it has the standard profile of a Deathwatch bolt gun for accuracy and damage. The next will be Inertia Fusion Bolts. The special ability of these is that they prevent damage reduction. So when using your Deathwatch bolt gun, if you're fighting something like Orcs and you don't want them to use just a scratch to stay alive, or if you're facing Nurgle and you don't want to deal with Disgusting and Resilient, this will prevent abilities from ignoring damage. And the last bolt ammo will be Metal Storm Frag Shells. And no, I didn't make that name up, that's from their 40k rule set. This is limited, so you only get to use it once, but it will apply blast year round, so it's an even larger explosion than normal. For the shotgun, the first one will be Shock Shells. These are significantly lower damage than your normal shotgun, but they will apply stun if you get a crit to take away your target's APL. And the other shotgun option is a Crack Slug. This will basically be a crack grenade out of a shotgun, doing high damage and having armor piercing, but it is limited, so you only get one shot with it. If you like this rule set, the link is in the description, download and try it out for yourself. Like I said before, it's entirely homebrew, meaning I made it up and it's nothing official. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, and thank you for watching.